do you want to take this and do this? Then join me, Terrence Irvin, Parish Program Coordinator for the Great Ascension Trash Bash, held on March 26th through the 31st. There will be a Trash Bash Award ceremony on Saturday the 31st at 11 a.m. at the Ascension Chamber of Commerce in Gonzales. There'll be food, prizes, and fun for the whole family. Bring the kids, bring your family, bring your friends. But most of all, bring your love for this parish. That's the Great Ascension Parish Trash Bash. Let's clean it up together.
This time I'd like to call to order the March 14th, 2007 Zoning Commission meeting. Let the record show that all commissioners are present. This time we'll open up the floor for public comment. Any item is not up for public hearing. If you'd like to speak on it, please come up, sign in with the secretary, and you'll get your 3 minutes to speak. No one wishing to speak during the public comment period. Item 4, acceptance of the minutes of the February 14th, 2007 meeting.
Make a motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve by Scott Courtwright, seconded by Don Grant. Is there any opposition or discussion? Motion passes. Item 5, public hearing to consider the following rezoning cases. 5A, zoning review ID 1673.07, Lot A for Walmart.
Okay, thank you. Good evening. My name is Charles Landry, representing Walmart, and with me is Mr. Galloway, Ricky Galloway, with Duplantis Design. I know everyone here is very familiar with the Walmart site on Perkins and Airline. It's a very nice project that's been built and functioning very well. The original way that the project was planned was utilizing your Section 17-112, commonly referred to as the 51% rule. I want to say very, very clearly that we are not proposing to change anything with respect to buffers, with respect to any of the commitments made to the neighbors whatsoever. What we're trying to do is a 2-acre tract that's on Perkins that was identified in the original plan as outparcels with a number of concessions where Walmart intended to lease those 2 tracts. It's this area here. And right now, under the existing zoning, it can be developed as commercial sites that instead of leasing the property, they would like to sell it. Post-Katrina with Go Zone, with the opportunity to take advantage of the Go Zone legislation, there's a much greater interest in selling the property than having Walmart lease it to a retailer to build a building and develop it. All of the commitments that were made to the neighbors in the rear are in place. The area that you see in gold, which is RM, will continue to be RM. Those of you who weren't involved or weren't around for the Walmart discussions, we agreed there were originally numerous outparcels along Perkins. We agreed to reduce it to 2. These are the 2 here. We agreed to prevent any access from these 2 parcels to Perkins. In other words, the only access to these sites is through the development and into the sites internally. We agreed to berms and landscaping along Perkins and monument signs as opposed to pylon signs. All that's intact. The only thing we're asking today is your consent to this being zoned for the same use it can be used today under the 51% rule and allow Walmart to sell these 2 lots in the future. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Comments, questions from commissioners?
I'd like to know if you have any commitment to who you may or may not sell this property to.
No, ma'am. One of the problems we've had is we haven't had the ability to discuss selling it because it's not zoned for selling it. Right now, we would have to maintain the underlying ownership by Walmart.
Okay.
But it's important that we made all kinds of commitments in terms of the quality of those buildings, and we're going to adhere to all that. The difference being times have changed. People would rather buy the site, which is really no different than somebody leasing it. There isn't any difference to the public who owns the underlying property. Whoever would lease the property would own the building. The only difference we're talking about here is selling the underlying land instead of leasing it.
Okay.
And obviously, Walmart would be very sensitive to the quality of owner that's going to be kind of on their side yard, so to speak, with Perkins. So they're not going to sell it to anyone that would be a distraction, so to speak, to their development.
Would there be any, if it were to go through and the property would be sold, would there ever be an option to purchase the property behind it? The shaded, the hatched area behind it?
To who?
That's what the store is talking about. This is where the store.
That's the store.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. See, again, Mr. Bardwell, nothing really has changed. This is where the store is now, and right now these are the 2 out parcels that were shown on every proposal that was made. The only difference is that we want to sell them as opposed to lease them. Now, this goal area, nothing we're doing this evening impacts that. We're not touching that.
That's owned right now by Walmart also.
Correct. And it's
Okay.
presently RM, and we intend to keep it that way.
Okay, when we looked at this, this is not where the sign is advertising, because the sign was down by the memorial area, down by the Cook's
Where the little
property.
marker is, that's where the sign is.
And
So
that's-
we've
I mean,
looked,
and that's
Yeah,
the Parish's
and-
fault, but so
Yeah.
I didn't realize that this was in front of the store. I
Right.
thought the store was the
And
business
see,
portion.
the couple neighbors have contacted us asking, even tonight, and as soon as they saw, I didn't know that the sign was further away. As soon as they saw what we're dealing with, they had no problem with that.
yeah, we've looked at the wrong property according to where the sign was.
Well, this is the property, right there.
Okay, and that's not your fault. That's
Yeah.
whoever
And
placed
the
sign.
best way to describe it, if you're at Perkins and you look at the store, it's the property right in front of you.
You say there's 2 out parcels?
It's one track now, but we will subdivide it. See, when it was going to be leased, Walmart would have owned the whole thing, and you'd put buildings. So what we're doing is zoning it, and then we'll come back with a resub for those 2 tracks. I want to make it abundantly clear, all the concessions that we made before are all in place. Thank you.
Thank you.
If we rezone this piece of property, if we agree to rezone this property, what assurances do we have that those commitments are going to stay in place?
They're public record. They're on file and they're public record. We decided to do that in connection with the original because there were a lot of people who asked us to make certain commitments. I wish Lance was here to confirm that. But I will also, Mr. Dumas, to the extent we want to refile them, just to make it clear that post-rezoning, all that still applies? Absolutely. No problem with that at all. That's our intention.
Any other comments or questions from commissioners? At this time, we'll go ahead and open up the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak on this property, please come up, sign in with the secretary, and you'll get your 3 minutes to speak. No one wishing to speak. Comments or questions from commissioners?
Currently, there is a landscaping buffer along Perkins Road.
Yes, ma'am.
Would that go away?
No, ma'am.
That would stay?
In fact, it's more than that. There's a berm and a landscaping buffer. And importantly, there is, and I hate to keep re-emphasizing this because it's really important to Walmart too, there's no access to those sites from Perkins. One of the big issues that the neighbors had were a lot of curb cuts, and we agreed to one. And these lots can only be accessed by coming in the main, where it is now, coming in the main, going into the lot, and then coming back out. We also agreed that these buildings, these two buildings would have a facade on the front. In other words, it would be dressed, although the parking area would be interior, they would be dressed up on the Perkins side too. That's a huge concession. That's, smart growth where the buildings are facing the street with landscaping and signage, and then the parking is behind. One of the reasons this is also important is those buildings will actually buffer the store. It'll be buildings closer to Perkins that will buffer the mass of the building. So it's really a very positive thing. We thought we were going to be leasing it. It's just the market is to sell.
Okay, let me just ask this to clarify this for me.
Yes, ma'am.
You said there's one in the main entrance.
Yes, ma'am.
When you say main entrance, I assume Airline Highway. You're talking about the main
Perkins.
entrance, that one entrance on Perkins.
Right. Again, originally we had a number, the original plan had a number of entrances, including where this RM.
Right.
And through our discussions with the neighbors, we got rid of all that, had one, and part of our agreement was that the only access to these two lots was from the interior.
Can you show me on there where that one entrance is?
Yeah, the existing entrance is right here.
Okay.
It's in the dark blue.
Okay.
It goes in front of the store.
Okay.
Any other comments or questions from commissioners?
Thank you.
Would a building plan come before us on this?
The site plan, yes, ma'am.
It would, okay.
Any other comments or questions from commissioners? What's the wish of the commission?
I move that we pass it.
I have a motion to approve by Don Grant,
I'll second.
second by Mike Bardwell. Is there any opposition or discussion? Motion passes.
And we'll assume that we will re-record the commitments. We'll be happy to do that.
Yeah,
That wasn't part of the motion, but I'm committing to you. We will be happy to do that.
We'll get Ms. June to minute it, and that'll take care of it, Charles. Thank you. Item 5B, zoning review ID 1674.07. Lots 1-A, 1-B, 2-A, 3-A of the Verna B. Callaway property for Steve Hutchinson.
How are y'all? I'd like to get this zoned commercial.
You are?
I'm Steve Hutchison. I think the commercial development building blocks of the community is small strip centers, office spaces, and I do know that realtors are looking for office space to rent, and I'd like to get this zoned commercial.
Okay, sir. Any comments or questions from commissioners? There are no comments or questions from commissioners, and we'll open up the public hearing. Anyone wishing to come up and speak on this property, please sign in with the secretary, and you'll get your 3 minutes to speak.
Thank you.
Hi, Commission. My name is Keith Boudreau. I live at the property adjacent to the Steve Hutchison property that we're talking about now. And I also, on J.D. Broussard Road, I consider any move to make this a commercial property as a spot zoning case. In the past 10 to 15 years or even more, Highway 621 has not had any added commercial development property to it whatsoever, with the exception of major intersections at 61 and 44. There have only been, for the most part, renovations to existing businesses, and in most cases we're talking about second and third generation properties that were owned by families years and years ago. In fact, actually the only dirt that I'm aware of that has been turned to do anything with commercial on 621 has been Hutch's Ace Hardware, which was adjacent to the existing Hutch's property in second generation, and of course across the street from commercial business. My understanding too is that GulfNet Seafood, which is probably the closest commercial property near the subject property, is zoned in a non-conforming manner, which means that, my understanding, it would need to be a certain type of business similar to what exists now. Also, I think that if we open up the gates to commercial development onto 621, I think it's going to add to and create more commercial development along 621, and you guys probably are aware of the traffic situation there. Also, when I received the notice of this meeting and the attempt at rezoning, I notified a lot of the neighbors along J.D. Broussard and Angela Estates, and I was pretty overwhelmed with the response that I got. So what I've just passed out and I've requested to be included in the minutes of this meeting are some sheets of some of the neighbors in Angel and along J.D. Broussard who couldn't be here tonight. They've signed saying that they would oppose any rezoning to a commercial development. And if I could, I'd like to ask those that are here tonight who do oppose this rezoning, if you could stand, please.
30 seconds, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Deborah Morris.
How do you do? My name is Deborah Dozot Morris, and I'm an attorney. And I'm here representing my father, who owns several acres on J.D. Broussard, across the street from Angel subdivision. We are very much opposed to this corner lot being zoned commercial. The street, J.D. Broussard, is probably a mile long. It doesn't lead to another major road. It goes straight into Babin. On 621, we have a lot of difficulty now trying to get out, taking a right or a left on the 621. I tried to get some statistics on the number of accidents. No one seems to have kept track of how many. I've contacted State Police, National Safety and Transportation, and the Sheriff's Office. Just recently we had a fatality right there on the corner of J.D. Broussard and 621. It's not an area that has any other commercial establishments. Most of the houses there are sitting on an acre of land or more, with the exception of the residents in Angel Place. There's no commercial character to that street or to that area. As I understand, I've reviewed some of the ordinances that you have. For an area such as ours, it's a medium intensity residential. One home per property, or there could be apartment homes. For mixed-use corridors, those are supposed to be located in strategic sites in relation to population centers, like other commercial sites, or adequate roads. We have neither of those. The ordinance section 17-113 says it's designed to concentrate commercial development along major arteries. Well, certainly 621 may be classified as a major artery. Some would doubt that, but J.D. Broussard is not a major artery. In fact, up until recently, we may not even have a line that goes down the center of the road.
30 seconds, ma'am.
So there's no color of major artery there. So I ask you on behalf of my family and the residents here to oppose this rezoning. Thank you.
Thank you.
Laura Fleetwood.
Hi, I'm Laura Fleetwood at 13527 J.D. Broussard. I happen to be on the very corner of J.D. Broussard and 621. I have some major concerns. I've only been there a year and a half, and in a year and a half there has been 3 accidents right at that corner, so that began to concern me. And the last one did provoke the parish to put some major bright stops and stop ahead and little bumps that you hit on the road when you drive, which is all right in front of my driveway. This proposed property, my driveway goes right out into J.D. Broussard, right across from where he wants to make that commercial. I already have a hard time getting in and out of my driveway because of the traffic coming down J.D. Broussard, which is also being added, which I know progress goes on by the new subdivision off of Babin, and there's another one that's going to be built. My other concern with that being right smack on the corner is that I know that there's another proposal with the property on side of this one that wants to go commercial, and I know the gentleman that owns the 2 properties on the opposite corner, both sides, he owns them both, said that if that gets passed, his plans are to go forth and to request for commercial also, which really leaves me in a pickle because I'm on the corner and I'm in a residential and I can't change anything. So that's where my concerns are about not allowing that to become commercial. Thank you.
Kenny Powell.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Kenneth Powell. I'm the second house off the corner of 621 on J.D. Broussard. I think y'all get the gist of everything that's been said here. Hopefully you'll understand how we feel. One thing I want y'all to do, and that's just think about if they were going to do this where you live. If you think that's okay, then approve it. If you wouldn't like it too much, I suggest you disapprove it. Thank you.
Thank you. Submission. Mr. Hutchinson, if you want, please come up. You have you can rebut comments that were made.
Okay. What I've got to say is that where this little piece of property is right on the corner of J.D. Broussard and 621. There are probably 15,000 cars go down 621. It's a major thoroughfare. Paul Callaway wants 5 acres zone commercial right next to him, which ties into Gulf Net Seafood. There are building 110 home subdivision on Babin Road. All these people need someplace to shop. Their kids need someplace to work. This is just economic business for the parish. So a lot of small businesses pay the taxes. And that's about all I have to say about that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Comments, questions from commissioners? I guess I'll start it off. First off, your issue is a spot zoning issue. Second of all, not every intersection in this parish should be zoned commercial. If they can, this one can handle commercial. Yes, 621 is a major artery. I've been driving on it ever since I could drive, and I've watched it, and all it's done is get worse. Babin Road, yeah, that's a little country road. J.D. Broussard is nothing but a cutover. It's a shortcut. I use it all the time. There's not just one subdivision coming up on Babin Road. There's going to be 2 more. So the traffic issue is going to get worse. Bishop Woods Road, that's a substandard road, always will be. And I'm not ashamed to say I opposed a subdivision that was built down that. So I understand you want to try and get the best for your property that you can. And that's fair. That's reasonable. Doesn't mean it's in everybody's best interest. Now, of course, I don't have a vote being the chair. But if the commissioners would ask me for a recommendation, it's going to be to deny. Not just on the basis of spot zoning, but the fact that it's not feasible. The infrastructure is not there to support what you want to do. And I don't think it's ever going to be there. So I'm going to go ahead and if the commissioners have any other comments or questions, have at it. And if there are no comments or questions from commissioners, what's the wish of the commission?
I motion to deny it based on spot zoning, and it's inconsistent with the character of the neighborhood.
I have a motion to deny by Paige Becknell, seconded by Don Grant. Is there any opposition or discussion? Motion passes. Item 5C, zoning review ID 1675.07, track 2 for Paul A. Calloway.
How y'all doing? My name's Paul Calloway, and I live at 621 next to Guffnet Seafood, which is on commercial property, and I'm trying to rezone my 5 acres to commercial property to sell it is what I'm going to do. I'm moving and just try to get more money for my property.
Comments, questions from commissioners?
Guffnet Seafood is not zoned commercial, correct? It's non-conforming?
Correct.
I believe so.
All right.
I think they came before us. They came before us for something. I don't recall if it was a rezoning, an actual rezoning, or there was something that they wanted to do. I can't remember.
It was in 2001. They rezoned it because when they had the bar room there, they turned the electricity also. They had to have it rezoned commercial to open it back up.
Okay. Fell under some of the older zoning, grandfathered kind of. Yeah, it was high intensity.
But if I'm looking at this map correctly, the property that it's highlighted for, or the subject property that's highlighted, is not adjacent to.
Correct.
The seafood market.
Your property is not adjacent to the rezoning piece of property.
I think it is.
Not according to the zoning.
The whole 40 acres belong to my grandpa, even where Guffnet is.
The question of who owned the property or how much is that's not the issue. What I'm looking at a map that's showing me that this is not adjacent to this particular zoning that you're referencing right now. Any other comments or questions from commissioners? If there are no other questions or comments, then we'll open up the public hearing. Anyone wishing to come up and speak on this property, please come up, sign in with the secretary, and you'll get your 3 minutes to speak.
Hello again, Commission. My name is Keith Boudreau, and the property that we're talking about at this point, the Callaway property, is directly behind my property and adjacent to Angela Estates. Again, I believe that this is another case of course, of spot zoning. It is on 621, so it would have no access to J.D. Broussard, but obviously it would impact our entrance and exit from J.D. Broussard. It would impact the traffic on 621. And again, as I mentioned a minute ago, I believe it sort of opens the floodgates to commercial development along all of 621. Also, just to kind of reiterate what I mentioned a minute ago, I believe that 621 is a residential street. It's the businesses that are there have been there for years and years. I'm a resident of this area for 41 years out of 45 years old, and most of them I know of as being there for a very long time. So one of the great things about J.D. Broussard Road and the Babin Road area and all of that is that it's all residential, and I firmly believe that's the way it should stay. That's what we need to happen. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Deborah Morris.
First, I'd like to express my appreciation for your not allowing the zoning change on the previous parcel. In addition to what I had mentioned earlier, I had an opportunity today to speak to Juba Diaz, who is second in command at DOTD, and questioned him on the possibility of four-laning or even widening 621. He checked into it and stated that there is nothing at any time in the near future of that happening. So I don't see a resolution to the traffic problems on 621 anytime soon. And one last thing about the Callaway property. As I understand the section, and I'm a corporate litigation attorney. I've represented the Drainage Board and the road widening projects for 10 years. I could help you out with that stuff, but this is all new to me. But as I understand it, you're supposed to have a buffer to minimize the impact on the neighboring properties. And 5 acres of land it doesn't provide an adequate buffer for all of the people who live in that subdivision. Certainly it doesn't affect my father's property. We're down J.D. Broussard. But it does affect all of the other properties. And a 5-acre tract of land is not going to give you enough buffer between any type of commercial development and the properties in this Angel subdivision, or Mr. Boudreau's property, or Mr. Park's property. So appreciate your consideration, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Laura Fleetwood.
Laura Fleetwood. I think the thing that is offensive to me with the request for Mr. Callaway's property, number one being 5 acres, that's a large parcel. If it gets turned over commercial, who knows what will go there, is the fact that he has no interest in making a development of it. Whether it turns commercial or not, he's still moving away, and we're still left with the remnants of it, and still me being on the corner makes me very concerned, so I'm opposed.
Thank you. That's it. Mr. Callaway, if you want, please come back up. And you can rebut any of the comments.
Yeah, she's correct. I am moving away. One way or the other, I'm selling the property. But I would never sell it to anybody that wouldn't give me their confidence that they would build something nice on the property. Just like Angel Estates. All these neighbors complained about us building these small houses in Angel Estates. It was going to affect their problem, and these people assured me what kind of subdivision Angel Estates would be, and as far as I'm concerned, it's one of the nice subdivisions out here. And like I say, I'm going to leave one way or the other. Whether I sell it to somebody and they put 20 low-income houses on it, you know, that's up to them.
Thank you, sir. Comments, questions from commissioners? I'll go ahead and let I won't repeat myself, I'll just let my comments from the previous item stand for this one as well. You're welcome.
Well, clearly the request is not consistent with the character of 621 or the development patterns of the area. I don't think GulfNet serves as any basis to justify expanding of commercial areas. So I'm going to make a motion to deny on the basis that it's inconsistent with the character of the area and would result in an adverse impact on adjacent property owners.
I have a motion to deny by Julio Dumas, seconded by Mike Bardwell. Is there any opposition or discussion? Motion passes. Now, I should let you two gentlemen know, this is just a recommendation to the council. This will go to the parish council. They have to make the final decision. So there is another step in this process. It doesn't end with us. And I don't know when the council will get it, if it will be next month, this month, or next month. Probably next month they'll see it. So, thank you. Item 6, public hearing to consider a neighborhood business overlay. 6A, zoning review ID 1658.07 for Excel.
Just give him a minute.
Good afternoon. My name is Jerry Johnson. I'm with Excel Bronco, and where I'm coming before you tonight is to be able to take a single wide trailer from behind our office building and replace it with a double wide.
Single wide trailer, and you're going to replace it with a double wide.
Yes, sir.
Any comments or questions from commissioners?
I have a question.
Yes.
This is really for O'Neill.
Yes.
Can you help me out here? Even though this is a non-conforming business, as I believe it is, do they not have to conform to building overlay, business park overlay?
It has to be in conformance with the business park. That's what it is. It's business park overlay.
And are trailers allowed in business parks?
You would have to propose that to Lance.
Ms. June, do you know?
I did check with Lance on that today, and he said a office trailer would be allowed. A residential use of a trailer would not be allowed.
Did he have a size, whether it was single or double?
No.
Any other comments or questions from commissioners?
What is a permanent mobile home? It's like an oxymoron to me. Is there such a thing?
Well, it would be, yeah, we have a, and I can show you, I have a few pictures of the site if y'all want to
Why don't you build a good building? I mean, if you're going to...
Well, that is our plans. I mean, we came to you, but, you know, we've just finished building addition to our property on Airline Highway. And then the, you know, we've got the driveway entrances to this property that we're going to construct, the other improvements we're making to the property, and with our staffing requirements right now, we're just needing some temporary office space or some more additional office space for that.
As it goes back to permanent.
Right.
What do you...
I mean, our long-term plans, you know, is to build a building there. You know, what is temporary? Is it a year, 2 years? You know, our long-term plans are to build a building there.
I'm going to take permanent off of here because it's not going to. If you're telling me it's not, what you're telling me is not what's written here. It's not permanent mobile home.
The statement that Alan is referring to, applicant is asking to exchange a temporary single-wide mobile home with a permanent double-wide mobile home for an office, which we read that
as forever.
Yeah, it's
okay. And you're telling me that's not the case. All right.
For our plans today, you know, we would like the mobile home there, and you know, as the plans that we brought, you know, last month to you, we were having a office building or warehouse type building built. We're having requirements now just for, and we moved these trailers from our property on Airline Highway. We took them out of it when we moved into our our structure at Airline Highway that we just finished building. So what we moved 2 of them. We're selling 1 of them, and the other one we would just like to put here so we can accommodate our staff at this location.
Does that satisfy your question?
Yeah.
Kind of, sort of?
Kind of, sort of.
Okay. Any other comments or questions from commissioners?
I'd just like to state, when we did this business park overlay for Swamp Road, and I don't have the ordinance right here in front of me, I was under the impression that as upgrades happen, they would be permanent upgrades. They wouldn't be mobile homes and such. I mean, that was the whole idea behind the ordinance, and I apologize, I don't have the ordinance in front of me, but the intent when we were going through all this was to, as upgrades occurred within that overlay, was for the upgrades to be both permanent, add the landscaping, add the fences, repair the fences as necessary to bring the standards up in that area, so to speak. I just don't feel like this was part of the intent on the ordinance when it was adopted, was to replace a mobile home with a mobile home.
Yeah. But we made, from when we acquired the property, we've made great improvements to the property. We've spent $500,000 on the property improving it. As of now, we're just trying to make room for, the staff that is there now with this building.
Well, the question that I guess, you said earlier that you were looking at building a permanent building.
Correct.
But why not just go ahead and build a permanent building?
The capital layout as of now with the, just the funding for it from a business point of view from our company, trying to, cash flow.
How long is temporary?
So within 2 years.
Any other comments or questions from commissioners? Then we'll open this up for public comment. Anyone wishing to speak on this property, please come up, or this issue, I should say, please come up, sign in with the secretary, and you will get your 3 minutes to speak.
Excuse me. My name is Sherry Slyman. My husband and I are the adjacent property owners. I'm going to ask that you deny a mobile home, modular office, whatever you want to call it. There was a lot of work done in writing the business park overlay, and it was all done to upgrade this area. I do want to show you right now. Is it supposed to be automatic? Okay. Right now, this is the roofing company down the street. This is the only trailer in the business park area on Swamp Road, okay? And just a few months ago, the commission approved a brand new building. I don't know if y'all can see that is under construction. So there will be no more trailers or modular office buildings or anything like that in this area. When they say 2 years, I'm not sure they know what they want. They came to the commission last month with a plan. We want to do this. And now they're coming with a different plan. They maybe 2 years. I don't think they know what they want. I do have the business park development standards here. And right down here it tells you the building plans. All buildings shall be designed by a certified architect or engineer. They should be made of brick, precast concrete panels, concrete block, cut stone, wood, or other building materials that the commission determines presentable. I don't think a modular office fits in that description. This is actually the ordinance that Mr. Bardwell was asking about, and it does say in here again, architectural standards. The new construction or facility shall comply with developmental code regulations. The commission can ask or can require upgraded standards.
30 seconds.
Okay. think that's basically all I have. I have other pictures. I don't think you really want to see them. But I am going to ask you to deny because I do not believe this fits the business park overlay standards.
Thank you. No one else, Ms. June? No. Comments or questions from commissioners?
I do have one on the schematics here. The double wide in this little drawing that we have is almost hidden behind the main office building, and it may not be much that's seen from Swamp Road. And then on this larger schematic, it's turned a little bit different. Which one would it be? Which one are you looking at positioning?
It would be directly behind the office building. I mean, as you can see here,
there's no north or south, so I can't say north or south. I can just say long ways.
This is the office building, and the single wide is directly behind this building. This is from the street here, and if you look, when they poured the slab, they poured it for enough room for a double wide. So we have this area here that we could put just move the steps over, put a double wide there, and and it would be directly behind the main building now where that trailer is already parked.
Oriented in the same direction.
Same direction, everything. It would just take it out and put it on that same existing slab.
What are the dimensions of the proposed building?
24 by 60.
Is there any buffering on the left-hand side of the office building? Right now, landscape or anything that would serve to hide?
We go next door to Ready Arc. Which is commercial, and they have their welding machines and stuff there.
When I drove by that property, and I think it's the same property, there was also a mobile trailer on site. Am I correct?
Did you drove by it this week?
I drove by on Monday.
Yes, that's the one we moved out of our office on Airline Highway. One of them we're trying to put at this location, and the other one we're moving. We're selling it and getting rid of it within the next week.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the two that we moved from our Airline Highway location just to move so we could clean up that site.
I got to tell you, the ordinance talks about a site plan that shows internal circulation and the whole layout of the plan, elevations of the buildings, and a whole lot of information that we just don't have in front of us. I understand what you want to do. I don't know that I'm opposed or in support of it, but frankly, I'd like to see a little bit more about what you're doing with your property, not only today but in your future plans.
Okay.
Any other comments or questions from commissioners?
Yeah, what I feel is that if we let this be done, then the next person down the road is going to ask for the same thing. We're kind of breaking what the requirements are in this area now.
We had enough meetings on this when we were going through it, and the businesses were involved in the area, and the intent was not to replace in kind like that, mobile home to mobile home. And I can say that because I was involved in writing that ordinance.
Any other comments or questions from commissioners? What's the wish of the commission?
At this point, based on what's been submitted, I'm a move that we deny.
I have a motion to deny by Mike Bardwell.
Second.
Second by Paige Becknell. Is there any opposition or discussion? Motion passes. Item 7, public hearing to consider the following business park standard. 7A, zoning review ID 1682.07 for Aegis Flow Technologies, LLC, located on the west side of Industrial Drive.
I'm Bob Tucker. I'm 10229 Veranda Court in Baton Rouge. I'm one of the owners of Aegis Flow Technologies. Jeff Torrance of Salco Construction is here with me also. My understanding is this is on the agenda because of the business park overlay. You have to approve the plans.
The site plan.
The
yes,
site
sir.
plan. Everything should be in front of you. It's not. We have some more copies. My understanding is our permit's ready to go tomorrow, and this is just the last step. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
One of the things, and I don't know if you have any drawings, but one of the things that is required is a vicinity map, which we don't have. Even though I know
I'm pretty sure
basically where the property is, I do want to just make sure that we are looking at the right layout.
Sure. Do we have one on the set we submitted? It's about halfway down Industrial Boulevard.
It's a record now.
Yeah. I don't know what plans Lance has, so
we basically got two drawings.
Okay.
And
because I'm sure we submitted a full set. Oh, we've got a set this thick.
And Ms. June, I wasn't lucky enough to get one.
There's not a vicinity map on this, but we have the address. I don't know what else to tell you. Apparently, there's not a vicinity map on it.
Okay.
But it's lots 11 and 12 of Ascension Industrial Park.
Right.
What do you have? No, I was just showing O'Neill what the what's required. It's the very first thing.
Michael.
Yes, ma'am.
This first plan that y'all have, if you look, it says lot 11 and it says lot 12 right here on the.
Yeah. Where's that?
Yeah, but vicinity meaning what streets are nearby and what community is it in?
Scott, you know where it is?
I know where Industrial Drive is,
Okay.
but I don't know by looking at the map.
It's the LJ's entrance and exit that was hitting 30.
That's correct. That's correct.
Not the main entrance, but the secondary entrance he was going to use onto 30.
He was going to stub out through Industrial Plex and come to
It's a very short
Industrial
street.
Drive.
Industrial Drive.
It's extremely short. There's 3 buildings on the street.
Here, I have a map of the subdivision. That'll help you.
Any other comments or questions from commissioners?
Truck well, it's facing the street. What's the purpose for it facing the street?
That's the only way where we can put it. There's no other access. And I believe in the business park overlay, that's a legitimate question, but there's no other practical access that would keep us from expanding the building sideways. It's only one truck well with a pad on the side of the building. It's recessed back from the street. It's not on the street. It's in fact
It didn't
behind.
look like you could make a turn back there or anything. That's why I just want to
No,
make sure
we
I
can't.
understood.
We looked at it, and there's no other access. We'll make it real pretty.
Read. There's 2 little words here by the truck well. They're in green. I couldn't read those. Can you
We've got a bigger set.
It says grass.
It says grass? I didn't see anything about a sign. What kind of sign will you be using? Do you know?
We're going to probably put a pedestal sign, but we hadn't designed it yet, but we'll probably put a pedestal sign to the side of the office and recess back. If you look where the truck well is and where the office area is, in that there's a green area in there, and we'll put a pedestal sign in there.
Okay.
Any other comments or questions from commissioners? If there are no other comments or questions, then we'll go ahead and open up the public hearing. Anyone wishing to come up and speak on this property, sign in with the secretary and you'll get your 3 minutes to speak. Or one wishing to speak. Comments or questions from commissioners?
Well, I'll just say, for the record, it's important that you have a vicinity map so that we know where these properties are located. So,
There are no other comments or questions from commissioners. What's the wish of the commission?
I make a move. Second.
I have a motion to approve by Mike Bardwell, seconded by Steve Barrow. Is there any opposition or discussion?
Mr. Chair, I'll abstain since the postman didn't see fit that I get this.
Okay, I have one abstention, Julio Dumas.
I didn't have a chance to look at it.
Motion passes.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Item 8, new business. Any items of new business? Item 9, old business. We have no items of old business. Item 10, subcommittee report.
We didn't have a subcommittee report. We didn't have a subcommittee meeting last month. 2 weeks from tonight, zoning subcommittee at the zoning office at 6 p.m.
Item 11, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
make a motion to adjourn.
I have a motion to adjourn by Scott Courtwright.
Second.
Second by Alan Kraus. Is there any opposition or discussion? Motion passes.
Yeah, Mike, I got to the meeting that wasn't held.